So some of you guys told me to get the FMS Atlas 6x6 Crawler in a checkout, so I did. Let's head over to the bench and take a look. And now I know why you guys wanted me to get this truck in. This is a pretty cool 18 scale crawler. It's about $140 and it's almost completely ready to run. You still need some batteries for the radio, but they give you everything else in the box. And speaking of the box, there's the box back there. That's a really cool package that this rig comes in. It's styrofoam, and there's the support gear that comes with it. I'll show you that in a little bit. But let's take a closer look at this rig first. And I love the Power Wagon style body on here. It's not licensed, but we know it's a Power Wagon. And you know, the bed area here with the cage and everything, the inset in the bed, the spare tire on the back, just a killer look overall. And what really caught my eye with this is it has LED lights right out of the box. Love that in the front and in the rear. I'm just really into cars that come with LED lights now, all the way to drag cars now even. That's pretty cool stuff. But back to crawlers here. Really nice bumper on the front. The grille is a molded piece. Let me spin this around. Check out the exhaust stacks on this. That is really awesome. Even the detail on the exhaust down here. It's got the heat shroud on the outside, chrome. Really nice look to it. Then it's got this little utility box in the back that even pops open. I think I gotta put, I don't know, I'll put something in there. It just, you have to. If you got a little box to put something in, throw something in there, maybe some extra wheel nuts and screws and stuff like that. Got a little rack on the back and everything. But those taillights, check those out. Love the grille on the back of that. And let's get into the tires now. Let's just get right into the meat of this review. And I like these tires. These kind of remind me of Proline Grunts, but it's a very soft tire. 1.0 rim on here, and they said it's a beadlock wheel, and I don't see any screws. Oh yeah, there are screws on the inside. So that is a beadlock style wheel, 1.0 wheel. Doesn't feel like there's any foam in there, but I think this has got to grip pretty well. Do like the lugs on those. And of course, you know, they're the same all the way through the truck, even the spare. Looks like you could use the spare wheel, so that's really nice. Good looking tires out here. All right, now, it took me a while to figure out how to get the body off of this because I didn't see any body clips. I didn't see any body clips on the bottom or anything. And all you have to do is tilt it up. And I actually removed the screws from the front so we can check out the inside. But it's got this magnet latch on the back, which is really neat. And then it's hinged in the front. Like I said, I took off the screws so we can check it out. And let's get into the frame next. So it's got aluminum ladder frame to it. Really like the look of that. Black anodized, looks pretty strong. And you know, just the feel of it, it feels pretty solid. You know, just some plastic cross bracing throughout to keep it sturdy. There's your battery mount right there. I took the battery out. I'll show you that in a minute. And it's got some simple O-rings to hold it down. And right in front of it is the transmission. So it's got your standard crawler style transmission, gear cover on there and everything, a little motor attached to it. I don't know exactly what size that is. I didn't see it anywhere on the truck, but if you know, let us know in the comment section below. We've got universal drive shafts that go down to the axles below. Let me just show you guys that really quick. So there are our slider style universal drive shafts. Really cool. I like that it's got metal yokes in there. Looks like it's even got a screw to secure it to the bevel pinion. And as you can see, the axles actually look pretty nice too, the way they're set up. May catch there on that screw if you're going over some stuff, but otherwise the shape of the axle is really nice. Looks like there's bushings in this kit. I didn't take the axles apart, but I could see some bushings inside the steering knuckle there. And speaking of the steering, let me just show you the front axle. There's a front axle, simple bar going across. We've got all plastic links throughout. It does look like a bone and cup style axle for the front going out to the wheel, and your standard ring and pinion style setup, all locked out, of course, so you get maximum forward bite out of this thing. Check out that little stubby axle in the rear going out to the rear axle. Center axle looks pretty good. And while I'm down here, let me show you guys the suspension really quick, these links. So what I noticed is it's got, you know, metal pivot balls in here, which is really cool. But right here, it just looks like a shoulder screw. It's not a full pivot ball link style setup. So I wonder how that's going to affect the way the suspension works. It'll be pretty interesting. I mean, not a ton of travel because it's such a small rig. so maybe it's not a big deal, but it might have been nice if it was dual pivot ball. And for the shocks are just your basic friction dampers. They've got springs there to give it the rebound, and they do give you additional springs in the kit that I'll show you in a little bit, but no oil in there. Kind of a bummer, but other than that, we'll see how it works out on the trails. All right, back to the inside so I can show you the rest of the electronics. There is your 2-in-1 speed controller receiver combo. We've got a chassis mounted servo up front. That's pretty cool, even with 3 wires. So if you want to go upgrade the servo later on down the road, you could do that. Then your standard mini connectors in here, and that really is about it. It's a neat little truck. I like the look of it, love the flat color of the body. That aluminum chassis, that's really impressive. And I mean, we're just gonna have to see how this goes. All right, let me show you the other stuff that it comes with. All right, so here's the other stuff that comes in the box. Obviously the radio, instruction manual. We got a little USB charger here. There is the battery pack, a 7.4 volt LiPo, 600 milliamps, a few basic tools, a bind plug, screwdriver, box wrench, and there are those hard springs I was telling you about. But nice looking radio. I've seen this radio out there for some other ready to runs. Pretty comfortable for a small radio. You pop off the bottom handle here to put the batteries on the inside. Has your basic trim functions and stuff. But I'm really excited to go out and try this thing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's head down to the trails. right, guys, I'm at a second location doing a little bit more testing with the Atlas, and this spot right here looks like a fun spot to just put the camera on the truck and talk to you about the drive. All right, we've got a bunch of rocks and roots and dirt to go over here, and so far the Atlas has proved to be a pretty capable rig. Now I'm on the side of a hill here basically, so I'm going to be going up and down just to show you what it could do. And here we are. That's full throttle right there, crawling up some dirt and some rocks, up and over some roots. And as you can see, the suspension is a bit bouncy, and they have those hard springs in the kit. I don't have those in there yet, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. I think it's just a question of they're not oil dampers, so it's going to have a springy feel to it. But it is pretty capable. There are times where the center axle assembly kind of gets caught up a little bit, maybe hampers it a little bit, but there are other times where this thing has really impressed me with some of the stuff it has crawled up. Now, the throttle on here, pretty smooth for its size. I mean, you know, it is a smaller truck, and there are times where the speed controller will phase out and the truck will stop, and I'll have to back up or actually pump the throttle would get it going again. But here in this spot, I don't think it's really going to do that. You can kind of see that suspension bounce a little bit. Hung up the chassis there. Oh, I'm stuck on a root. All right, let's find another route here. There we go. The steering's pretty good on it there. That's full steer. So, I mean, it's got a decent turning radius for its size, and it is a 6x6 again. Definitely like the lights on this. The rear tail lights with the covers. That's pretty awesome. But let me go over these roots here so you can just get a feel for how this thing crawls. Oh, roll over. Can I save it? Yeah, I'll just hand it got it real quick here. Just so we can keep going. All right, let's crawl up over this way. This is kind of a tricky spot here. I've had a number of crawlers go through this section, usually 10 scale stuff, but this seems to be going pretty good. Oh, come on, correct. There we go. Got it. Nice. All right, let's go roll up this way. Reverse sometimes seems like it's got more power than going forward with this rig. The tires, they work pretty well. Oh, another roll. I gotta hand it got it again. All right, let's do a little side hill here so you can see just what it could do. I'm on the edge of this rock. You can see it does have some CG to it, a little bit of a high CG. I mean, it is what it is with this style. But for the most part, if you just bomb the hill straight up, it will crawl right up and over. Pretty cool little rig. All right, let's head back to the workshop and wrap up this review. Well, for those of you that said, Greg, check out the FMS Atlas 6x6, thank you. I had a great time testing this rig. I'm happy to have it here on the channel. It was just a lot of fun overall. Starting with the look of this, love the Power Wagon styling on it. The cage work on here is really cool. The bright LED lights, the bumper on it. You know, the radio system is pretty good. And the only thing you need for it is AAA batteries. For $140, it's just a killer little rig to have fun with, you know, if you have local trails or even around the house. So, you know, out there testing it, as you guys saw, it does pretty well. It is a capable rig. It does have its little hang-ups here and there, which I'll get to in a second, but you know, steering is pretty good for its size. It does stall out if you get the front wheels bound up in rocks, you know, but it's understandable for the size of the servo and it being a ready-to-run servo. But it's a 3-wire servo, so you could go and maybe get an aftermarket servo if you're really going to challenge this rig. The speed controller in here does a pretty good job. The throttle feel is fairly smooth. It does stall out when you're on some serious inclines and when you're bound up in rocks. I found that, you know, if you just start mashing on the throttle, it'll kind of wiggle its way out. But for general use, it's fine. I actually really like the drag brake in this system. Going down some of the steep declines, it really just slowed up the truck well, and it was really manageable. So I like that aspect of it. Run times were pretty good. It ran longer than I was willing to drive it for the test sessions. You know, I just kind of like to break things up and shoot and stop, enjoy nature and stuff like that. But I'd say at least a half hour, maybe 40 minutes or so. You know, correct me if you know how long this thing runs on a full pack. let everybody know in the comment section. But I was getting 20-minute run times, 15-minute run times, and I ran this rig a number of times is what I'm saying. I went out in the morning, in the afternoon, day 2, day 3. So I've got a bunch of runs on it just to see if anything would break on this rig, and there's really nothing to report. I mean, I dropped this thing off some pretty steep rocks and landed pretty hard. No broken parts yet. No real wear that I could tell you guys about either. Even the front wheels, I should have mentioned this before about the steering. They don't lock out and chatter from the dog bones hitting the axles or anything like that. But speaking of chatter, the one thing I did notice is because of the shocks on this, the friction dampers on it, if you get this thing caught on an uphill and it kind of loses traction, the axles will start to chatter. It'll just start bouncing the axles around, and it doesn't really help the rig out as far as completing the climb or anything like that. The traction of the tires is pretty good, but that was a bit of a problem for me, just the axles chattering when I was trying to make some really good climbs, and it was a little bummer. I went back and was actually able to complete it with a different line, but just something to throw out to you guys. They have the optional springs to install in it, but I just think, the friction damper, it would be better if it was an oil-filled shock. The radio system works fine, and the electronics are actually waterproof. I noticed somewhere, I think it was on the website, that they said they were waterproof. So I went down and tested that, actually submerged the truck, which I don't suggest that you do. But, if you do get this thing a little wet from splashing through a puddle or something like that, you should be fine. Like I said, I submerged this thing for testing purposes, and I went and ran this thing for another 20 minutes after submerging it straight up a hill, actually. That's one test that I could really say this thing was stellar, was after driving it through water, I drove it uphill from the bottom of the hill I was on, the trails, all the way up to the parking lot at full throttle, nonstop, uphill the whole way for 15 minutes, and the motor was still it was warm, but I was able to touch the motor without an issue. Nothing happened with the electronics, so it's a tough little rig. It's a fun little rig, and again, glad it's here on the channel for other people to check out. I'd recommend it. It's a fun off-road crawler if you're looking for something small scale. All right, if you want to pick one up, I'd suggest heading to your local hobby shop to see what they have. If not, we have an affiliate link in the description below. That helps us here on the channel. We appreciate you using that. But while you're down there, hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell. Throw the video a like. Let me know what you think about the Atlas 6x6, and we'll see you back soon for some more RC Driver videos.